shot of the goal. Out of nowhere!
You go through. It'll be a long way to beat that one. Michael Roach is in for the Robinson.
It's coming home. It's coming home, Ben. Miller, the curse is finally over. The curse is finally over. Remember, guys, we wrote the rules of the game. We wrote the rules back in, what was it, 150 years ago. We wrote the rules. This win is largely due to the support of you guys. Hey guys, we're back again. Russell Robertson live.
Robertson! Out of nowhere! Robertson! Out of nowhere! Robertson! Out of nowhere!
We wrote the rules of the game. You stitched me out there. So it's what is it? It's all about me. It's the Russell Robertson live show. It's about the Melbourne Football Club, and then the intro is all just my hangers.
Yeah.
I did not do that. I have to say I did not do that. This is Digital Dave, everyone. You remember from last year, the singer, who does all of this wonderful stuff. He's the tech guru.
Thanks,
and you
mate.
stitched me up big time.
I did. But I'm not finished stitching you up yet.
Oh.
You know what I was doing a couple of weeks ago? I was looking around for some things on you, and it's so easy to find like highlights of you taking high flyers.
Yeah.
But I went shopping and I went into a CD shop. Remember CDs?
Don't even start. Don't even start.
You know what I bought? And I said I was always going to stitch you up with it.
You found it. Was it in the bargain bin?
Russell Robinson higher. There it is. Still shrink wrap. If anyone wants the Russell Robinson higher original signed CD, we're going to sign it, actually. Mm-hmm. I've got a pen somewhere.
Can I explain that CD? I can't.
Yes. Yeah, of course you can. It's your show.
Firstly, can I say hello to everybody?
Robin has the CD.
Of course she does. These
would
are my
buy this?
people. These wonderful people. Ruth, Tori, Matthew, Matty, of course, Robin, they would do anything for Robbo. Because I would do anything for them.
Nikki loves the album. What? I've not even looked what's on it.
What happened was I got asked to do It Takes Two in a time where Melbourne was going pretty poorly. And we never really got on TV. We never got our brand on TV. It was always Collingwood people. It was always, Richmond. It was always, all those people always got on TV. And we could never get anyone doing anything. And, you're not supposed to go on a TV singing show when you're playing AFL footy.
Not supposed to, but some people are talented to be able to do both, which was you.
So they asked me to do a nice club. Said, go for it. It might be actually a little bit of good. And it was at the start of the year. So it wasn't finals. It wasn't getting. And I was so lucky to get paired up with Kate Sobrano. It's fairly
Did they
airbrushed.
Photoshop you?
It's fairly airbrushed.
Have you guys seen this? Like, I'll
It's
show
in
you.
iTunes.
It's in iTunes.
It's in iTunes, mate. Download it. I don't get any money if you download it. I don't get any money if you buy the CDs. I got all the money way back when. They paid me once off, and I was very happy with that. But
Russell Robinson higher. That's what the podcast should have been called.
I grew up playing music with my dad, right? Here's the story. I know you're into your music, so you'll love this. We'll get into the Demons soon because big game coming
we got
out West Coast.
big game and big guest.
Big guest. Can't wait to talk to a West Coast
Go
Eagle.
West.
You're a West Coast Eagle.
I am,
Davo's
yeah.
a West Coast Eagle, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Go
don't
back
say
to
that too loudly.
Go back to the comments. Robin, I actually gave Robbo a CD about 20 years from Madam and the Weight, lead singer of Lies.
Josh reckons, he said, Robbo, what's your biggest and best mark? I've got it coming up. I reckon I've got it.
Yeah,
I've got it for you.
Some stuff coming up.
Been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
I looked at a couple of marks down in Tassie when I was playing in the under-18s. Google Almost Footy Legends me.
Tell the story about how you learnt to take marks like that.
Okay, so when I was a kid, we had a family come and live with us. Dad took one of his best friends in as he came from Melbourne to live in Tasmania, and he had a son who was a year older than me and bigger than me, and he's a great footballer. My dad and I, we love football, obviously, and we'd kick out the front lawn all the time. We had a big sort of property there, and I'd always get out marked, and mates would come over. I was always small because I'm not tall. I'm 6 foot, and I grew late, and I used to I'd be crying. I'd hate it. I always never mark it. I'm prone to doing a bit of a hang
You've
dog.
grown up a lot.
I've grown up a lot. I can take it a bit more now. So Dad said to me one day, why don't you stand off the guys and I'll kick it up and then you run in and just jump off their hips and see if you can get above their hands. So I must have it worked, right?
Wow.
And Dad noticed that I had sort of decent hands to mark the ball and some dexterousness in the air. So he said, right, we're going to work on that. So really every single night for the next 10 years, I reckon, we would work on that. Dad built a contraption off the shed that we had. Got a 4x2, got one of Mum's stockings, put a footy inside the leg of the stocking. I had a 10-speed. He got the 10-speed inner tube, cut that in half, tied that to the stocking, tied that to the 4x2 off the shed. So the ball is just in the air, right? And you talk about Don Bradman and the whole stump against, the younger people don't know that story, but people of our vintage know that. The cricket stump and the golf ball off the corrugated iron water tank in the front driveway growing up. Well, I had this contraption, and it was about just running up, grabbing the ball, bringing it down, letting it go. Over and over, I thought it was the most special thing because my dad built it. Right, as an 8, 9-year-old, that's just the best thing ever. And then mates would come around and would wind it around a few times, and then one of us would stand under it and would take hangers. Dad would kick the ball up, and I'd jump off the trampoline, take the mark, land on the grass. We worked on my high marking, I reckon, every day of my life until I got drafted. When I was 17, I took 2 marks that were pretty good marks, and they are on the Almost Footy Legends. I won the car on the Almost Footy Legends because I took a couple of these marks.
Did you actually get the car?
Nope.
Oh, didn't think so.
No. It wasn't my video. One of my mates sent it in and it was owned by the Tassie Footy Leagues. They took the car.
They took the car?
I didn't even say thank you.
For your mark?
I didn't even get a thank you.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, my mark.
Who got the car? I wonder if we could find out.
I think
That'd be pretty good.
Apparently, the Tassie Footy League got it then.
What would they do with that as a
sold
collective?
it
Oh, they sold it.
and got the money.
Wow.
And I got nothing. But I got drafted to the Demons. So,
well, that's pretty
really,
good.
people were watching that over here, and I know the guy, Donnie Barron, was the recruiting officer at the club then. And I want to talk to the people in a second.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, you're good at stories.
But especially when I'm
I was
talking
wondering
about
why
myself.
your dad didn't work on defence. Like, I mean, it's kind of explain how do defenders then, if you're doing hangers, how do defenders learn to be defenders?
Well, I think he sort of
Catch
gave up on
someone
that.
when they run past.
He gave up on that. No, he did. We did work on everything. But Dad was of the opinion that if you are extra special at one thing,
Focus
it's going to really get you noticed.
Love that.
Especially when you're only a average sized player.
Yep.
You get lost in the crowd a bit. 6'4"ers, 5'ers, they get noticed. They get, come on, you come with us, you're going to be in the ruck or whatever. But the rest of us, we need to do something special. And that was my thing. And it worked because when I took those 2 marks, and I've been told, Donnie Barron said, we came down to interview you because we saw that mark. And we thought, we'll take a punt on this guy. Maybe he'll take some marks on the wing like Robbie Flower used to do. Because I was a winger as well as a forward. But then Shorter went down. Gary Lyon was finishing up. Sean Smith was in and out, concussing himself every time he landed on his head.
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh
Speaking
about
of
that because
which-
he's in trouble now. So it's not.
Well, I know someone that took a hanger and landed on their head
Shut
too. At least you tried with the hangers. Like, you've taken some great marks. Someone asked actually, what was your best mark?
So those marks down in
Joshy.
Tassie were my best marks, but I think the one against the West Coast Eagles that you might have seen.
Oh
in the
yeah, that's in
the
that
show.
Yeah.
I saved my best for the West Coast Eagles. I reckon I averaged 4 goals against the West Coast Eagles. I love playing over there.
Yeah.
We didn't love playing over there originally, but I loved playing over there. We've gotten better at it though, haven't we?
Winning over there.
Yeah.
Well, when we looked at the ratios, the Eagles had a much higher. Like they've got the wood on Melbourne massively, but it's a historical thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this week.
No, I think as much as we've got better at playing over in the West, you've got worse.
The Eagles have got worse playing in their own stadium. They'll clock up 1 win on the road, and that's it.
Yeah.
We've done one. We're 1 from 1. That'll do.
Did you watch our game last week?
I went to the game.
Yes.
Actually, I was going to show you this. So I was there and I grabbed a photo. I think that works. There we go. There's
There
me.
you are in the crowd. Look
Sitting
at the
there,
sun.
like I wasn't wearing a Melbourne scarf. I was tempted, but
Sometimes
at
you
least
do.
I was there. I'm a Melbourne member. I pay my dues.
Credit
And
to you. You're a West Coast Eagles supporter. that pays for his own Melbourne membership and rolls up to
Yeah,
games.
I
with
get
his
excited
family.
by the club, obviously, and I'm in a hoodie, even though it's really warm. But that's the West Australian in me. It's a little bit weird.
And thongs on as well.
I had thongs on probably too. Or actually, I was probably not wearing shoes, but let's be fair. We got a photo here from Barry, and he was at the game as well, so he sent this photo in. And these guys, this is a unique time of year.
Yep.
At the MCG, it's like when the sun is out, it's hot. When the sun disappears, it's freezing cold,
Well, I tell
and
you
it's
what,
gonna go pretty quickly away from that.
Pretty
So
pear-shaped
good
this
on you, Barry.
weekend,
Thanks for sending
apparently.
it.
Thank you for those that did send photos in. I think I sent you one earlier as well that we might flash up a little bit later on in the show. We want you to do that again.
Yeah.
But the question I've got to ask you guys, who was your favourite player from the weekend? Who played the best, or what was your big moment? For me, obviously, and I think for a lot of people, it's got to be the Van Ruin. Really showed that he can play the game of football. But I'm going to start us off by saying the best player for mine was Stephen May.
Oh, yeah.
Why? It doesn't. He didn't probably get the 3 votes, the traditional 3 votes. But for mine, he came into the team after not playing for a while. He helped. I think it just helps Jake Lever so much, and then Jake Lever lives every single time. It just seems to work out. He's got this uncanny knack.
You know what I reckon?
So
I reckon
strong.
Clayton Oliver again, because when it got to 7 points, and I started going, crap! I've seen Sydney do this so many times now,
me too.
and Melbourne stopped, and I went, "Don't let this be the year again where this happens." And there was a play, I swear, it was at the 50-metre line, and one of the Sydney guys went to handball it, and Clayton just put his hand down, blocked it, picked it up, handball, bang, 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 goal, and we just went, and then they just started running
You kind
after
of
that.
know we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
You know, when things like that start happening for us, we're a different team from the Brisbane game.
Yeah.
Sylvia
Brody.
says thanks for the support, Dave.
Yeah,
I just want to let you know that. But Barry says the whole bloody team was fantastic. But Josh, I got to agree with you. Brody Grundy put his hand up, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I was talking about this earlier today. I don't know who I was talking to, but we are AFL players and we're elite players, or whatever sport you play. If you're an Olympian, you're playing at the top level, you are that way because you're confident about what you can do, and you you revel in being given responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got Brody, who's had a really tough time coming out of Collingwood. Injury, and then gets shipped off to Collingwood. I don't know the full details of all of that, but I think it was a bit of an emotional move.
Yeah.
Gets to Melbourne, lands there. Max embraces. You got 2 of the best Premier Ruckmen in the league.
How good's that?
So good. And then obviously Max goes down. Brody stood up. He said, righto, don't worry about this, boys. I got this. And what Brody brings to the table is not just this amazing tap efforts that Max does, and we all know that Max can do. He can get you 30, 40, 50 tap outs per game and then go forward and take a big mark. But Brody brings second efforts, third efforts. So he'll fight, but then he's on the ground, he's following up, and everyone's like, Jesus, there's a 6'5", 6 bloke coming through. You just sort of jump out of the way a bit, don't you?
Yeah.
He
That was the
sensational.
second on-baller that you sort of missed when Jackson went to Freo. You saw he played a little bit like he was an on-baller, and you had that extra person. You just brought in like an all-Australian ruckman who's like one of the best ruckmen in the league, and you could sort of argue, which ruckman should we play? And they both play like on-ballers. Like it's really amazing. And to know that like Max had a great season last year and then got injuries early, you can just supplement like an all-Australian ruckman. That stuff cripples teams when they lose a ruckman. Nick Nat hasn't played since, I don't know, like he was drafted. And, then Melbourne, on the other hand, just smart. Yeah. Just smart recruiting.
Yeah, 100%. We did well out of the trade in the draft period, I think. But again, I think it has to be said, Van Ruin was pretty special. The way I think what Melbourne has done is they've taken their time with Rui. They haven't just gone, okay, and we've made mistakes in the past, possibly with Jack Watts. And we asked that question on Robbo Live with Jack Watts in that seat when he was on our show. What was it like being thrust into that limelight and being the saviour for the Melbourne Football Club on Queen's birthday of all days?
Yeah, was that game?
Doing press conferences before the game as an 18, 19-year-old, and they're throwing all these questions at you that you just don't need when you're trying to get through year 12.
Yeah, he was a school kid. And they mauled him.
So I think you learn from mistakes like that. Obviously, it's different leadership now at the Melbourne Football Club, but you've got this kid, Van Ruin, who is a raw talent. without being your number one. Oh, he's a godsend. He's a raw talent, big boy, can jump at the ball. And we've watched him systematically over the last year or so in the VFL, just launching at balls, marking, dropping, whatever. But what it becomes is really predictable for our forward line. Because he's got confidence to go, I'm going at this. Not, oh, maybe I shouldn't go at this because I'm 18 and I don't. No, he's done his time against men in the reserves out of Casey, won a premiership, comes into the team and goes, I'm launching at this, marks a couple, kicks 2 or 3 goals, 3 goals. And Spargo and Cade Chandler and all those guys in the forward line go, I know where that ball's going. You know, he reminded me of guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, I reckon he looked a little bit like David Schwartz.
Oh, yeah.
One jump that I saw, because I was down the race, the meatloaf stage, I was underneath it watching the game, and there was this jump up the city end that he made that looked...
The meatloaf stage?
The
Did you
meatloaf
say
stage,
that?
yeah.
Is that a thing?
Is it, well, can it be called anything else after that?
Oh, no.
After that performance?
Oh, no. I get it.
We've all been there. This jump that he did. Do you remember that mark that David Schwartz? These guys will know, and the people that are watching this show later on. David Schwartz, when he was wearing that stupid white headband, when he was 25 kilos lighter than what he is now. Again, another guy that we've had on Russell Robertson Live.
Yeah.
Talked about that era before he did his 3 knee reconstructions. He did that mark where he came in from the side and he was up on, I think it was Gary Lyon. It was always Gary Lyon, wasn't it? And he was doing things as a 6'4", 5" solid guy that just should not be being done.
Yeah.
Spinning out of packs like a basketballer.
Yeah.
He was going to be something special. He did a couple of moves like that on the weekend, Van Ruin, that really excited me. So,
how old is he?
Well, he's 20, isn't he? 19,
Okay.
20? People
Big
hear
body.
what
Like, he's
me.
big for 18, 19. Like, his big body is... It's so... Like... God, everyone in Melbourne must be pretty excited. You got... The list is ridiculous.
Yep.
You just keep finding other players. It's like, where are you going to put them all?
Yeah.
And who's...
100%.
Like, you know, I just think it's exciting times.
Well, you got Tommy McDonald as well, don't you? And he's probably the guy that got pushed out of the team for Van Ruin. And Tommy's been sort of there and abouts, but he's getting older now. He really has to play well, I think, to stay on the side. But also, so does Ben Brown, because they're at that other end. But I've been there, don't worry, it's not nice. You do have to play well to stay in the team. It's just the reality of it. You're going to bring kids with energy in.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you've got this 6'3" guy, 6'4" guy, Van Ruin, who's taken really strong marks. Ben lifts. Tom goes back to the reserves and goes, okay, now I have to really get going here. So selection headaches.
Success breeds success, doesn't
100%.
it?
Yes, he's 19. Thank you, Sylvia. 19 years of age. Oh, I remember those days. You remember those days?
Oh,
Were you in Perth or here?
I was in Perth. Yeah, I was like, I know we're going to reflect on some of your early games, but I would have been at those games. It's sort of weird now to think all, you know.
Yeah. You were watching them.
I was sitting
You
there
were watching me take apart the
I
West Coast Eagles.
was like cheering violently for whoever we were playing. Like, obviously it was you. Oh, Robinson! I can't stand that Robinson. Oh, what a that was a pretty good mark.
Do you want to hear a funny story? My father-in-law, to be, I'm not married yet, but engaged. He's a Collingwood. They're Collingwood. Mad Collingwood supporters, all of their family.
Yeah.
He was at the Queen's birthday game that these guys will remember, where I'd had a decent game, kicked 7 goals. I think it was 2005 or something like that. I can't remember. And he was in the stands, Laurie, and he told me when I first started dating his daughter. Can I say dating?
Yeah.
He goes, oh, I remember you. he knew who I was. He's a massive footy head. He goes, I was sitting in the grandstand when you've taken like your 5th mark and you kept going back for your 5th shot. Was someone please go out and stab that Robertson?
Like a true Collingwood supporter. He's a big man too.
He's 6'6".
Yeah. You said
My
you
father-in-law.
met him sitting down, I hope.
Jesus. I'm in the land of the Giants whenever I go and see their family, because her sister married a Kiwi who was an All Black, I think, 6'4" that way and that way.
Yeah.
Her brother's huge, so I better not mess up.
Is this why the wedding's taking so long to come about?
I got a stepson who's almost 6'2". He's 13 years of age.
Hey, did you tell people about you ringing me the other day and crashing the car at the same time?
I think Davo has the loudest voice You don't know this. I know. When he drinks,
lying.
his voice gets so
He's
loud.
lying.
So I'm in my car. I get to Woolies, right? Shout out to Woolies. Sponsor us, if you will, because I've just smashed into someone in the car park. I've gone in. I've got a big cruiser, right? And I've fronted into the car park, and I've gone, I'm not straight, so I'll reverse back.
Bang.
And I'm reversing back, and I was on a hill, so I got the big tray at the back, and some bloke just tried to duck in behind me real fast. Poor bugger, he shouldn't have done it, but it's my fault because I reversed straight into him. But I only broke his plastic light thing, so
that's
it's going to
good.
cost me $20 to fix it.
I just thought it was a funny phone call, and it'd be worth just sharing with everyone that I'm on the call with you going, hey, what are we doing for the show this week? And shit, mate, I got to go. I've just run into someone.
We all make mistakes. Who's going away for Easter? Come on, guys. We're not getting enough chat from the people. This guy is. Konnichiwa, David.
Konnichiwa.
You're going to Japan.
Yeah. See you later.
Lucky sod. So we
Sayonara.
may or may not have a show next week. We don't know.
We're going to try and figure it out. I'd sort of run cameras and do everything, but we're going to see if we can. Maybe I reckon Robbo should just try and do it on his own. What do you guys think? Do you think he should get a microphone and just set himself up and just chat to you guys? And you can, maybe this is the week where you get to ask him anything and he has to answer everything.
Yeah, because I've got no one to talk to.
I think we should do it.
Sylvia can't remember being 19. That's funny.
No.
I do remember the wizard jumping on my head, Josh. There's another funny story. It looks terrible on my behalf. Have you seen this?
No.
I've taken... it's a game where Jeff Farmer kicked 9 goals in the second half against Collingwood. I think it was Queen's birthday, yes. So he didn't get a touch, or maybe one, in the first half. Neil Danaher got so angry with Jeff Farmer. He used to get stuck in him a fair bit. Now, we don't call him Rowdy for nothing, our wonderful coach, Neil Danaher. He got so angry with the Wiz. When he walked in at halftime, we were losing. He's grabbed Wizard's magnet off the whiteboard and piffed it across the room. Get him. He's not going back on. Ben Beams comes onto the ground. Remember Ben Beams?
Oh, yeah.
From Tassie. Shout out to Benny. How are you, mate? Of course he'll be watching. He comes on and did quite well in the third quarter. I think he took a great mark, went back, might have kicked a goal. But then the next contest, he hyperextends his knee and has to come off. And we got no one else to go and play a small forward because we need the midfield rotations, right? So Neil Danaher's gone to Chris Fagan, who was the assistant coach at the time. Can you go down to the change rooms and find Wizards magnet? I need it for the board. So Chris Fagan trots back down to the old Melbourne change rooms back in the day when Melbourne had one right next to Richmond in the Olympic stand. That's gone now. Comes back with the Wizard goes on and kicks 9 goals in the second half of football.
Wow.
And it's something you've ever
Did he really
seen.
need the magnet? What if he couldn't find the magnet?
It's just apparently what happened. I don't know why. Yeah, just
It's like old school.
Well, no, because he didn't want the Wizard to see at three-quarter time when he put the team up, who's on, that his name was just written.
No magnet, but you're on.
You're on.
Whiz.
So he goes on.
Well, after the 9 goals, it will be etched on the board.
Absolutely.
It's like, actually, you're not taking it off for the rest of the year. I just kicked 9 in the second half.
It was wonderful to watch, but a side story to that is I've had, to that point, the game of my life as a half-forward flanker, a young half-forward flanker. I took 13 marks in the first quarter, which was on track to be, if it wasn't a record at the time. The commentators were saying, this is a world record performance by Russell Robertson, the half-forward flanker. He's taken 13 marks in the first quarter, and that got lost. Absolutely lost, because in the second quarter, I calmed down a little bit.
Stop taking marks.
15, 16, but then in the third quarter, I come back out. I kicked 3 in the first half, right?
Wow.
I'm thinking, this is my day.
Yeah.
And then something happened. Wizard he just came back out and went, and no one could get a touch in the forward line, the Wiz. And I'm like, go away. This is my day.
Oh, so it's the same game. That Wiz's got 9 goals.
Same
and so
game.
you're reflecting on the fact that you, were on track for a world
Go
record.
back and check the video. It's not about winning. It's about world records. No, of course not.
Why didn't
I'm
we have that?
joking.
We had Wiz on before last, when was it?
We didn't talk about that.
But he talked about that second half.
He talked about the second half, but I didn't talk about this side story. Then
No.
I went to go and take a
You
hanger.
wouldn't, though.
With the
If he
dying
was
minutes,
on, you wouldn't.
The dying minutes.
Which are?
The dying minutes of the last quarter. I'm thinking, one more goal, 4 goals will be all right. You know, I've gone up this hanger, perfect sit, the ball's coming to my hands, and then the little fat bum wizard just comes and jumps across the front, takes it out of my hands and goes down the ground. Crowd's going crazy because the wizard's going off.
He
And
took a
everyone
beauty.
loved the whiz. And I've just gone, oh, God's sake, given this face. It looked terrible. It looked terrible.
Was it like this face? Was it like this one? Like,
Less photoshopped. Same game as he took
Probably
a beauty
airbrushed.
on Ox as well. Yeah, Wiz took marks on everybody. Remember that one against Richmond, Gary Lyon, pre-finals, I'm going to say 1998, where we went from almost bottom of the ladder, I think we were at the bottom of the ladder in 1997, to I think 3rd or 4th in 1998, which is Neil Danaher's first year as coach. Pretty amazing stuff. Weekend of football, your team, my God. Injuries. What is going on over there?
Well, you know what, though? It was bad, really bad. And Adam Simpson actually did his press conference. If you look really carefully, you'll see that he didn't actually do it in a normal location. It's actually at the hospital ward, if you look in the background. So the Eagles have relocated to the local hospital and
Royal
figure
Perth
they can do the rounds. Yeah. And it was pretty... It's not a great... It's not great. At least we get to blood new people
But
now.
how do you think West Coast are going to go against our boys before we introduce this wonderful guest?
I think if I saw Melbourne in round 1, I thought they were red hot. They spread, they ran, they looked so good. I was thinking, wow, going into game 2 against Brisbane, round 2, they'll destroy them, and they didn't. And then for 3 quarters against Sydney, they destroyed them. Like, they beat them by 50 points in the end, let's face it. If they can do that to Sydney, 100, I think they might be down by 100.
Could be a
I
percentage
think
boost,
I think that the Eagles play on confidence when they're a young team, and I think I just reckon they've just had that smashed out of them. Yeah. They did okay against Freo. Like, I was proud of the fact that they fought it out. And I don't mind them losing when they're a young side that's giving it a go, but I'm not holding much hope. Melbourne's got a very, very good squad, and they're all playing well.
Someone said before in the chat room about Clary Oliver's game, and it needs to be sort of said, I think, before we move on. His game last week and what he's been able to produce consistently for the last 12 to 24 months has been something quite phenomenal. As a Melbourne supporter, seeing a 6'2" guy with this ridiculous ability to get hardball wins, but also a percentage of delivery. I mean, his kicking has improved. We know that he was a handballer early, but now he hits targets. Now he's damaging with his possession, while still getting in there, getting the ball, but then being a defensive beast as well. I would hate to play on him. He just looks like he'd hurt you. And then you've got Petrarca in there with your X factor. So you got your Mr. Consistency, and then you've got your X factor with Christian Petrarca, who can be consistent but can go off the boil a little bit more than maybe Clary can do. Wow.
Like, it's Chris Judd type.
Yeah.
Breaking lines and big body and
not as quick across the ground.
but
That's
clever.
But clever.
Like really clever. Like, really
Just strong. One touch. You're right. They're two bulls, both of them in there. We talk about Petrarca being the bull. Clary Oliver's a bull as well. And then you've got Mr. Crazy Jack Viney, who injures everyone, including his own teammates.
Yeah.
But you don't mind because he's just going hard. There's a making of a really good team. You used to watch your boys, the West Coast Eagles, over in Western Australia on Subiaco, on the Wacker. I played my first game on the Wacker against a mammoth team. They were giants over there. Jakovic, reel them off for me.
Jakovic, Worsfold, McKenna, Monkey Brennan,
Sumic.
Peter Sumic, Matera, Brett Hetty, David Hart, Don Pike, Laurie. Who's my favourite?
Who was your favourite back then?
I'm pretty simple. I'm from Perth, so I really liked David Hart because his first name's David.
Yeah.
But
David
no, I wasn't Mainwaring. Like
Waterman?
I was big. Waterman, but a big fan of Bluey McKenna. Always like tough. Those between McKenna and Worsfold, they were bruising, hard back guys, and they really. I was talking to Bluey at one point about how they almost sort of invented the idea of switching the play and going the opposite direction. They sort of started to play this soccer game of like, let's not just kick it down the line every time to these packs. Let's actually look after the ball. And I thought that was pretty unique. And they were tough, man. And the fact that you played your first game on Woosha that's exciting.
First game on Woosha.
Imagine that.
And then for the rest of it, McKenna. And then after that, it was blokes like, Chick.
They're big guys.
Just big, strong guys. And we always knew we were up against it when we played against the West Coast Eagles. So it's interesting you say McKenna was one of your favourite players.
Yeah, we got him on the show.
We got him on the show.
He's here, I think.
He's here, and you need to go and find him because I think he might be actually out the front because he was just running late. He's been doing some work. He actually works for Victorian Cricket
Victoria.
He loves his Cricket Victoria. Does a great job there. He was a Gold Coast Sun. But I think it gets lost and we forget what a tremendous player that this guy was, Peter McKenna. He is in the AFL Hall of Fame.
Guy McKenna.
Peter
McKenna was the Collingwood guy. I think he played at Collingwood, Peter McKenna.
Played for
no relation,
Peter
maybe?
Guy McKenna.
Bluey McKenna.
Bluey McKenna was a superstar. And we've got the proof right here. Roll the video.
Pretty exciting to have him on the show. I'm going to go grab him.
Go get him.
So I'll put this on and we'll get him on.
Okay.
Number 17. Guy McKenna.
We were just probably all grateful that Carl Langdon was playing that day because he copped most of it. Louis copped a bit. Brett Heddy, you can pick up SBS with those things. And
their first grand final, remember, at the MCG for the club. They were at Waverley Park last year.
Obviously, it was a lot more invigorating than running onto Waverley the year before. And that was probably it. And that's where I think when you burst out on the ground and it's the MCG, I think, and the roar goes up, I think then you know you're alive. One lesson probably Mick's always said about football clubs and coaching and premierships and playing with blokes, it's about respect versus like, and you want to walk out of a football club respected. It's just when you come back into a room with them all again, it's like you only played the game on the weekend, and I think that's where that bond is, and I think it's forged because of respect.
1992, what a time, my friend. 1992. I mean, I remember it as a young man in Tasmania. Welcome to the show, Bluey. It's great to have you, mate.
Robbo.
You're looking more grey and
what are you trying to say?
I'm saying you're looking less red, which is a good thing.
I know. Well, us Rangers, mate, we miss the grey. We go straight to white, actually.
Yes, you do. I've gone straight for it. How about me? I remember watching that grand final, those couple of grand finals, and thinking, wow, this team, new West Coast Eagles, very early 90s, and just so strong from the get-go. Tell me about that time, mate. It must be just a special time in your life.
Oh, yeah, I mean, to be, obviously the first club, that's the thing. Like, Brisbane have won them, Adelaide's won them under Blighty, but to be the first interstate club to take the cup, 8 out of Victoria. Out of Victoria, that's pretty special, something that they can't take away from.
No, ever. The Victorians must have hated it at the time. I don't know, because I wasn't here. I was in Tassie.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I always tell two quick, I'm not going to tell them now, we don't have time, but 2 quick stories about experience at Hawthorn when we played Hawthorn the year before in 91, where thought we were in it, 10 points down at 3/4 time, but then your Hawthorn experience, Dermot, Dunstall, these blokes just went to another level. We couldn't go.
Yeah.
So that was my lesson in experience. That year was a lesson in passion because, as you say, to be the first Victorian, non-Victorian team to take it out, the cup out of Victoria. I remember Woosha, we did 3/4 a lap. You get Southern Stand, you face them, you get your medals, you run around up to Punt Road and you come past the members and you're facing the city. Yeah. And there was still 10 or 15 Geelong supporters, scarves on, beanies on, and they were saying words I've never heard before, giving us signals and carrying on like pork chops. And I grabbed Woosha. I remember grabbing Woosha. I said, look at that, mate. That's what you call passion. They paid their $250 and they're giving it to us. And I said, they've got no right. We've just beaten their side. They're always going to go down in folklore as the first Victorian team to lose the grand final to us. But they're just giving it to us. It was just hilarious. But,
Tell you what, when you're in enemy territory, there's no better person to pull closer to you than Woosha.
I want to say I grabbed him, mate. She came out from underneath his jumper, actually.
Well, I played my first game on Woosha. So I debuted on him. So I've got special memories. And look, obviously the reason we're talking today is because we're playing the Eagles this weekend over there. It was always a really tough road trip during my era. And even before when Gary Lyon was going against you guys, it was always tough to go over the Nullarbor and take on the West Coast Eagles. But my first game was at the Wacker on Johnny Warsworth. So I've walked out. Get this, and I've looked at all you. You were there. I've looked at who's going to get me, and he starts walking over, and I'm like, oh, no, I've heard about you.
Well, at least you broke the ice with him before he broke your nose.
The game was. I couldn't really shake his hand because the game had already started. He was doing that thing where as I was walking, he kept treading on the back of my boots to try to get them off, and I'm just thinking, please stop. Intimidation factor or really a tough guy?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. He'd do it any young kid, but anyone he played on, he'd get into. I remember Tony Evans at the Wacker, I was in the same game. We're playing Geelong. I wasn't playing. I was up in the stand, and Evo came up to me after the game. Tony Evans, he'd normally be an on-ball tagger, but he was down the back line, had to pick up someone. He was following one of the Geelong players down there, Buddha Hocking or someone like that, and after the game, we had a good win, and Evo, Bluey, come over here. I said, what? How do you play with this idiot? I said, what are you talking about? He said, Woosha. Mate, all he wants to do is pick fights. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I'm standing there at half-back, keeping an eye on the game. I'm looking after my man, a bit nervous the first time I played in the back, and all I could hear was, hey, Evo, you ever seen someone's head explode? And he's thinking, well, no, I haven't, but what do you mean? And he sort of half, nervously turned around and looked at, I'm going to punch this young kid's head that hard in the back of the head, his head's going to explode. And then the Geelong runners run past, I don't listen to Worsfold, he's old, he's cranky and all that sort of stuff. Hey, I'm going to punch him in the head now, I come and punch you in the head, So
I love that.
Yeah, just as you say. In Tim, I mean, this is the thing, I think he only got reported maybe once or twice, I think. He would play hard, and again, mind you, Mick used to wind him up a bit to go and knock this bloke. Look, but I mean, as many times as if you set on a mission to do that, you really you really get it ticked off. Whereas he, I reckon maybe once he did it, but
I reckon once or twice he got caught is what you're really trying to say. Because look, Davo was happy because I don't know if he's happy at the moment because he's a West Coast supporter. Not going so well at the moment the last couple of years. Yeah. Davo, you're happy at the moment, aren't you? You've got one of your old boys you used to watch running around. Was it Subi, the Wacker? What was the go, you guys?
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan?
Well, Friday nights was always the Wacker.
Right.
That was always because they had the big light or the 1,300 luxes that were the Wacker. Yeah. So that was, and it was just pristine. It was like a bowling green to play on. So the bounce was always true. In the early days of Subi, mate, it was a bit of a goat field, a goat paddock, and ball used to move around. And then it got resurfaced. It became good too. But then they redid it, and they ended up having. Basically playing at Subi, and now obviously big enough now they had to go to Optus.
Yeah. Well, thank you for going to Optus. We were talking about that before, weren't we, Davo? What do you got there? You've got your
Mate, I got my 91 Eagles signed football.
Look at that. 91.
Remember 91?
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't. Yeah, we do, but I don't like to talk about it.
91.
There was a grand final, wasn't it? I think there was an asterisk there. It was out at Waverley. No one counts that. But you mentioned that to the Hawthorn supporters. They're of a different opinion.
It's the greatest grand final of all time, that one. Not at all. What are your memories, Davo, of that era? Because there were some great players. I mean, I've got some written down here. Jakovic, Worsfold, we've already talked about, Warnham and Brennan. Great footballers.
Man, just the fact that Bluey lives around the corner and I saw him running one day and I was going to chase after him. Because I was like, that's one of my idols. Like, I grew up in Perth. I loved watching you guys. Our defence, our backline your backline was set the standard. And then when we won in 92, 94, just...
Righto, Davo, that's enough of it.
Sorry, I'll get off now. I'll go back to the electronics.
Well, it's funny, you mentioned...
Just press the buttons,
I'm just really excited Bluey's here. So, hey, Robbo, what are you doing? Can you get off so I can talk to him?
Well, you mentioned 92. I still shake my head. I was just talking to someone the other day about it. Peter Summers kicked 6 straight, which, mind you, that was a record in itself because he rarely kicked straight in summer, but kicked 6 straight. He's our full forward. We had a bloke on the wing that won the Norm Smith that had 8 shots on goal. He kicked 5 goals, 3 Peter Matera. From the wing.
That's unreal.
I mean, some wingmen wouldn't have 8 shots in a season. He's had 5 in a grand final. And on Toby Bairstow, who can play a bit too, just quite
underrated Pimentel. I mean, obviously Western Australia knows what he is, but and we know what he is over here. But being that team over there in the West, sometimes I think the superstars like Pavlich playing for Freo. If he played in Victoria, would be even bigger still. I don't know, but Mundy, great player, played for 100 years. Yeah. We're talking about our boys playing over there at the moment. I've had some real great memories of playing in Western Australia. 2004 was a great game for us. So the Melbourne, because this is a Melbourne show, and I'm hoping a lot of West Coast fans tune into this as well. They'll remember 2004. Did you play in 2004? No. Round 14, I think it was. You were injured. We were really injured that day. I'm going to get David to find some footage maybe later on. Yeah. I've had the game of my life. I'm thinking, well, this is easy over here. The big wild spaces of the West, because you could run around. As a halfback flank, it would have been tough out there because you've got to chase these small half-forward flankers around. How'd you go out in those big grounds?
Well, I didn't mind those because you could work the angles. So that was the thing. Most of the time, obviously, the Melbourne grounds, you could, it's very compact and it was sort of all in. It's almost like trying to play a game inside a tent. But when you got to the Wacker and Subi, and I never played on the Optus, but it's such a wide ground. You could actually start to work the angles, and some of the Victorian teams would always struggle to kick to the full forward line. So as a defender, you could just drop off your man and sink back and nail those passes. But I mean, I know you're around about trying to get there, mate. The reason you love how long was Melbourne's last grand final, and where did they win it?
They won it over there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
no
we struggled.
Big smile on your face.
Yeah. But in your day, you had a thing against Melbourne. You were telling me that I had no idea about, so it was very interesting. So Melbourne were a team that you loved to hate, but then off the field you had some good mates as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Oh yeah, well initially obviously we lost the elimination final, the first final,
which all our fans would remember.
The final series we got into out at Waverley as well. A few blunders, namely one by me, and I always say Ricky Jackson. He made Busher jump out of the way, and he dropped one. And they've kicked a goal, and Murray Renstead missed a late shot. I think David O'Connell, a good friend, he missed an absolute sitter up the other end. But Murray, unfortunately, was the last shot on goal for us, and it missed, and we lost that final. And so naturally Mick, he's got a memory like an elephant. So it was always us versus them, and remember what they did to us, and it went on for about 15 years, I reckon.
He doesn't know grudge.
No. Anyway, and then there was an incident with John Northey coaching. One of the trainers got involved with one of our trainers, and it was just his hatred. Yeah. And I remember I think it was my first Brownlow, and so it was the second one for the club because I didn't join the first year. I went over the second year with them, and it was we got table 147 out near the kitchen somewhere or near the fire exit because we didn't want West Coast here and up in the front, and we're sitting around at the end of the night, and we didn't know what protocol was. We better start going, and most of the tables had all cleared. Literally, there's only about 3 or 4 tables left, and all of a sudden this wolf whistle came across the ballroom where we're up, and it was the Melbourne boys, Gary Lyon and Big Strawberry Dry, Rodney Grinter, giving us the whistle. Hey, you West Coast blokes, get over here. We're all, we didn't know what's it going to be on, is it? We're going to fucking roll up the sleeves and get it on. And come on, have a Carlton draft, you blokes, come on. And it was just brilliant. And we thought it just broke bread and broke the ice. And from then on, we went on and had a few extra hours down in the casino and all that sort of stuff. It was like the breaking of bread. It was actually a really good connection. And from then on, like fierce rivals on the field, but off the field, arm around, buy a beer and all that sort of stuff.
Do you feel that isolation? Because we've got a lot of Melbourne supporters tuning in now. The West Coast Eagles are an unknown quantity for us because you're so far away. Do you feel so isolated over there in the West, and it's us against the rest of the Eastern Seaboard, and obviously Fremantle comes in, but it's us against them?
Oh, no question, and even Adelaide, Brisbane, it's all sort of 2-hour flights and 40-minute flights when you consider Victoria and we're down to Tassie. All that's Western Australia is just like literally it's another.
It's Europe.
Yeah, it's another 2 years. Well, you can fly to New Zealand from Victoria. You can go interstate, and that's why most Western Australians go to Bali because it's closer than anywhere in Australia, just about. So there is that isolation, and Mick was just magnificent about it's us versus them. It was the WA versus the rest. It's still he used to always call it VFL, and the Western Bulldogs used to always call it Footscray. Never changed. Never called them the Western Bulldogs. It was always Footscray. It's all the old-fashioned names.
The good old days. The good old days.
So he used to play on that a lot. But that said, mate, I know this is a Dees show, but one thing I can actually hang my hat on and be proud of is that of all the big clubs, and we're talking sides we've played since we came into the competition. So not the GWS, Gold Coast, the recent clubs. But there's one record that the Dees supporters not going to be happy with. Is actually the best record we've got against all the VFL then / AFL clubs is yours.
Is Melbourne.
Beloved Dees, mate.
And that's history, though. That's ancient history.
Okay, you're a part of those too, some of those losses.
Yeah, shut up. Move on. This is my show.
Sorry,
no,
yeah.
you're right. You're 100% right. But and it has turned a little bit, which is thank God. You know why it's turned? Because you went and made the ground the same size as the MCG.
I know.
You bloody idiots.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the isolation. That said, I must say, again, everyone initially thought the travel, and I used to say, you can't tell me, you know, like Russell Robertson playing for the Melbourne Dees. If he went and played and had the same career at West Coast, you have to be shortened because you're travelling that distance every second week, of course. That said, then after a while, I reckon after the second or third year, it becomes a player's strength because you're used to it. Yeah. Whereas you blokes, and I mean, we're jokingly, you're allowed to mention Collingwood on the show. No, sorry. Well, even Melbourne, for example. So if you go to Marvel Stadium, the Dees people and supporters will see that, like Damien Hardwick did one year. That's a travel for them, you know.
We don't go to Marvel.
No. So whereas because we do it every second week, it becomes a strength of ours. Whereas when a VFL or an AFL club that resides in Melbourne does it 3 or 4 times a year, it's not really. You don't sort of get used to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas because you travel, and Adelaide would be the same, and Brisbane are the same. It actually becomes an advantage for you.
And you do, when you travel, you're going together, and it creates that sort of togetherness, I reckon, when you're going into enemy territory. Speaking of enemies, Davo found a video that I want to show you. We played in an era, well, you more so than me, because you're a little bit older than me. I came in, I'll remind you of that, I came in 97. You started around 90.
No, it's 88.
88. Yep. So you've really played some tough guys. None tougher than this fella here, Davo. Roll the tape on this one for me, mate.
And suspended.
There's you on the ground. Now, what's happened to you, mate? Have you fainted or something? You run too hard?
Yeah. That was supposed to be the warm up.
Look
at that.
It got me in the sweat. I always say, well, there's a bit of history, not a history, but I was actually sitting in the hole because my bloke would go up the ground, and the coach at the time, Toddy, said, "Would you just mind sitting back in the hole?" And you know, they were winning it up the ground, and they were booting it to me. And in those days, it was fairly rare for someone to be sitting in a hole. They didn't know what that meant.
Was a new thing.
6 or 7. This was in the first quarter. I had about 6 or 7 marks sitting in the hole. I had about 10 possessions. I reckon I
counted every one of them.
Yeah, I reckon I had 10 for the whole, for the rest of the year. I reckon.
But get this redheaded.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can't join them, you beat them.
He's taking all my marks.
And then what had happened then was he was charging out. He'd won the ball. There's a free kick that I think Dean Laidley had pinged someone, and there was a free kick, and then Mick said never stop for the whistle, and the whistle I heard, and he's picked the ball up, and he's running towards me, and I'm thinking, well, I have to tackle him or attempt to try and tackle him. So I don't know whether you've actually tried to put arms around a light pole or something like that. Well, that's what it was like, and clearly I didn't get my arms fully around him, so I couldn't pin his arms.
Look at the body size difference.
Oh, he was enormous, but so powerful, and then the beauty about it, he just got me in the sweet spot, and then that was it. It was curtains.
Lights out. Yeah. Well, what's even funnier, and I mean, I shouldn't say that that's funny because we're laughing at your pain.
Yeah.
And I know you struggle to remember names now because of things like that. But have a listen to Tony Lockett. Can we pull this up, Davo?
Yeah, you want to hear him?
I want to hear what he says here. When interviewed by our great Eddie Maguire, well, not ours, but the great Eddie Maguire. He had a few run-ins with Eddie Maguire, but this is one of the good ones. Davo's got some great footage. Let's turn it
high
on.
profile, I guess people tend to take a little bit more notice of your actions than what they tend to do with other players. So I guess I was just one that was, taking a little bit more notice of than any other, and I just got caught out, I suppose. But,
You can stop it there, Davo. Basically, if you've got some time, have a listen on YouTube, fans.
He's unlucky, apparently.
Plugger reckons he's unlucky in that situation. Roll the tape again of him getting hit. Let's see it one more time. One more time. Can we? Oh, sorry, I'm making you work too hard over there. Don't do that.
I feel sorry for Bluey.
Bang! I'm watching it on a replay.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can't.
He's unlucky.
I remember actually that. But the bit I do remember is getting when I woke up. I was on the stretcher, and I was just going through the old days of the players' races. They're all chicken wire, of course.
Yeah.
Get up, you weak sod. You're lying down. get up, all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, are
my
you
God.
serious,
As much as it's terrible, because our game is so clean now, it's different, and we've gotten rid of that out of our game. We look at it and go, geez, Warriors out on it's like the Roman amphitheatre, you're going out. And the fans used to love that blood-curdling sort of stuff and getting smashed. So it becomes part of folklore, but wow. He reckons he's unlucky there, he got caught out. So unlucky to get seen there. If you did that now, how many weeks would you get?
Well, just take the season off. It's funny because Monkey Brennan obviously used to play me our fullback at the time.
Yep.
And he just, Plug would be walking backwards towards the goal square and Monkey would be walking alongside him before the start of the bounce, and he just used to say to him, he said, mate, you can stand in front of me, you can stand beside me, you can stand to my left, my right, but if you grab my jumper, I'm going to kill you. So it was the only ever time.
Those guys.
It was the only time I reckon the Monkey used to play with football shorts with pockets in them, because that's where he'd put his hands straight in the pockets, because he was never going to touch Plugger, get his hands out of his pocket. But,
hey, Robbo, I found you getting knocked out, if it helps, mate. At least Bluey was putting his body on the line. Let's have a look at this.
I know what you're going to show.
There he goes.
Bang, out like a light, but came back pretty quick. See, that's me trying to entertain people, Davo, all right? I'm trying to be entertaining there.
Did you hit your actually head on the roof? Was that?
Yeah.
It wasn't the ground.
I'll go with that one. That ground's really hard. I've hit my temple right on the deck there. We were just trying to take hangers and be funny, and I got it really wrong.
Who was that blue runway in front of you?
That was Chrissy Johnson. Yeah, he's he and I were talking. We say, Robbo, you jump on me. Yeah. I tried. I failed.
Well, you really failed, mate. Your ears normally used to pop, mate. You used to get that high, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I used to...
get the nosebleed as well?
Used to try a little bit for a hanger every now and then. I never got one on you, though, did I?
No.
Played on you, but
Nick
I never
used
got...
to always say defenders play in front. I used to be, no, that's overrated.
No.
I'm not playing in front. No way. No.
Especially with Robbo in the area. Yeah. All right, so we talk about failures. I'm not saying West Coast are failures at the moment, but there was a big failure last week in terms of injuries for the Eagles. So let's rip into this game, because it's coming up pretty quick, and I'm looking forward for a W and I'm feeling confident because of those injuries.
Well, yeah, look, West Coast's not in a great spot. They haven't been, obviously, last year, the start of this season. I think in the next few games, so they got you blokes at home, and then the Cats away in the gather round.
Wow.
And then Port, again, back in Adelaide. So that's 2 travels in a row, and then Blues at home. So they're in for a horrid month. And then if you want those senior boys, as you know, to sort of lead the way, take the shine off the ball, so to speak, and to lose those quality of players.
Well, you talk about McGovern, did his hammy, Shuey hammy, Cripps broken ankle. That's going to be quite a while, you would have thought. Ryan with his knee. Now, I don't know how bad that knee is. Forced to go back into the ground in the last couple of quarters there and just sit in the forward line. It was failing from underneath him. Who else? Witherden was concussed. Nick Nat hasn't played since 2000 when he was drafted. And you'd love to have someone like that out there. So it's really unfortunate, but it's just rubbing insulting into a wound at the moment with the West Coast Eagles, isn't it? How do we get you guys out of this? Or how do they get themselves out?
Well, the quick answer is they're just got to be very patient, because that's the thing. Those players you mentioned, so they're going to replace them now with kids that have played between 0 and 10 games. And so if you think the last 3 weeks have been bad, that's you can only hope. I mean, the kids will fly a flag and they have a crack, but again, I always go back to my time at Gold Coast. It'd be like the year 10s playing the year 12. So they'll hang in for a bit, but then all of a sudden it'll be like the pin going into the balloon and off it goes. And so, I mean, they didn't. I mean, they when I say quality senior players, clearly they're quality, but again, they're not going to be able to play at the levels they've been used to seeing over even the previous 4 or 5 years, So they're at the wrong side of the mountain, and then, but more importantly, they're going to be throwing now 4 or 5 kids in
to play against Clary Oliver, who's this powerful 6 foot 1.5.
Yeah.
Petrarca, who's a huge beast of a man when he goes to the ball. Jack Viney likes to make sure you're tackled. Of course, the midfield's going to find it hard, but it's right across the board. And the West Coast has always relied on their size and their bigness around the ground. And then it just feels like they're getting smaller and smaller at the moment. But there's a positive in that. Look at the Saints. I mean, they're really injured at the moment. And young kids are coming in and they're finding guys, aren't they?
Well, and that's probably thanks to Rats, in all due respect, for the previous 2 years where he's been there, where he's blooded some of these kids. And so, but he's replaced, Rossi Rossi gets to play those kids that have played 20 or 30 games, getting close to that 40-odd games. So they've been in the system for 3 or 4 years. Simo, unfortunately, as you said, because of West Coast's great strength in Nick Nat and their midfield, well, all of a sudden Nick Nat gets injured and they go, well, who can ruck?
Yeah.
Who are we going to throw in the ruck now? You know, Oscar Allen's hurt himself again too. So all of a sudden they're going, well, who do we throw in there? And then the midfield has been so dominant as well. So Shuey's down.
Yo's not there.
Yo's not there.
He's a good player.
All that sort of stuff. And you go, well, because of their great strength has been for the last 6 or 7 years, they've had no reason to play rucks or midfielders.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they have this plight of injuries and the sort of evolution of their list. And they got so all the kids coming in, I was just looking at their list before, they got blokes that have played 2 and 3 games.
Yeah.
So imagine them up against the Dees this week.
Well, I said to Davo, who's playing in the ruck for you this week? He said Williams. I'm like, who?
Yeah.
You know, and that is a bit unfortunate. So,
It'll
look,
be-
there's going to be little wins here and there.
Yeah, well, the little wins will be seeing the kids fly a flag for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you know. And again, similar to my time at the Gold Coast, you look at Dion Preston, you go, geez, there was something in that, wasn't there? And now look at him, he's gone off to Richmond and won flags, you know. Or Tommy Lynch, different sort of kettle of fish, but a bigger fella, same thing, you know, all that sort of stuff. So that'll be the blessing in disguise for West Coast. So they're going to have to bleed some kids, and they're going to throw some kids into the midfield and find out about them and actually give them some experience. And again, almost like the Dees were 3 or 4 years ago. You know,
100%.
Clary Oliver, gee, is he going to be okay? Is he going to be out? Now look at him. You know, he's 80-odd games into a career now, and then he's a bona fide player, you know.
Well, it's the only thing I'm worried about, though, is the age of the kids and the quality of the kids coming through. Like, I crossed to the ground recently and I had a look at what they're thinking about, and I'm worried about it.
Yeah. Well, look.
It's going to take a while if this is what the Eagles have got.
Oh, well, you know.
You know, this is really blood
them earlier.
Sorry, is that a ranger down the end too? I think there's a ranger down the end too.
Well,
it's going to. Well, that's it. And like I was talking to some friends of mine and about West Coast. Oh, you know, we should be right. We should be right. And I said, well, if anything, I look at North's list and even like a Hawthorn's list. They've already started this process a couple of years ago. And I mean, obviously Sammy Mitchell's a young coach, but Clarko at North, and so West Coast. If you think last year was bad, this year could be, and even like it's almost now pointing that way because of the injuries. It's going to be a tough year for Simo, that's for sure.
And Davo, we're talking about the West Coast Eagles, and you've got a little graphic there you want to talk us through. I can see it out the corner of my eye. It's a ripper.
I found this on one of the Melbourne fan forum pages, which is
Power drill, quarters drill, training drill. It's West Coast. Someone's got way too much time on their hands.
Well, mate. Well, that's it. When you look at all the great, you know, like I know Maxi Gawn's injured, but Grundy, you know, he slipped straight into what he did. Yep. And you look at as you said, you just mentioned those names about the midfield, and you go, well, who? It won't be like the Year 10s playing the Year 12s. It'll be like the Year 8s playing the Year 12s. You know, and they're just going to get. It'll be like a 60-30 inside 50 count.
Yep.
It could be a record.
So it's a little bit of pain, you reckon, coming up for the West Coast Eagles supporters. Let's just ride it out. But just quickly before we move off this game, the Melbourne boys, I know you're a student of football. You always have been. You're a student of all sports, really. But the Melbourne boys have been pretty good over the last couple of years, haven't they? How do you see them this year after winning a premiership over in your neck of the woods?
Yep.
Come back to Melbourne, premiership hangover maybe.
Yep.
Geelong were fantastic last year. Didn't quite reach the heights. They were a bit knocked up towards the end of last year in Melbourne. And then this year they seem to be pretty good, except they kick up against Brisbane.
Banged up a little, as you say, last year. And then when you say the hangover, it's always hard. I'd say once you made the summit, what's after the summit?
Yeah.
And, you know, premierships are hard. So you take your hat off to all those clubs that have won back-to-back flags and some 3 in a row. So it's tough to do. It's so hard to do. And again, even like Geelong, you look at Geelong. So you look at them. They won last year. And look how they've started. So it's not that you want to do that. It's just, and again, quite simply, is because you're the premiers, you just know, or you can keep your level. Yeah. You might strive, but your gains are going to be very minimal. But the sides that have finished, you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and even down the bottom, when they play the premiers, mate, as I'm sure you did when you were playing up against some of the premiership teams, I know I did. Hey, these are premiers, so this bloke can play. So all of a sudden, you might go up 20 or 30%. So there's a bigger shift for clubs that didn't win the grand final. So I get that. So it's not so much it's a hangover, it's more just these other sides. And it only takes, as you know, it's at 1 or 2%. Yeah. And mentally, they get themselves up, they knock you off, and you go, gee, but you'll finish where thereabouts in the finals, but you just don't have that. Well, the killer instinct, because you just used it all up almost the previous year. And then what Melbourne have obviously done over the pre-season have sort of galvanised that. They've relit the
Fixed
fire,
things.
stoked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a few powwows with each other on and off the field, and boom, they're looking very sweet, I would have thought.
It's that old adage, isn't it? You become the hunted, don't you? Everyone's looking at you, and they've spent the whole summer emulating probably what you've done to win a premiership. This is what we need to be like.
Yep.
Geelong, that's happening to them, and maybe that's what happened to Melbourne. Hopefully, we're going to emulate what you did in 92 to 94. We missed 93, you missed out. We won't talk about it, but 94, you got back there again. So I'm hoping that's what's happening here for Melbourne.
Well, I reckon, you're right, because we had some injuries in 93, but nothing catastrophic. We finished thereabouts, but we just didn't have that same glint in our eye and the hunger in our hearts. And I mean, looking at all the top sides, and you look who's in the better form and all that sort of stuff. And again, you're out of this week, and I reckon they'll be licking their chops after going over to the West and filling their boots up. And so confidence and belief and all that sort of stuff, it pays such a great thing. And if you can keep your list then healthy, it all goes well for the rest of the season.
Now, you spent some time with the Gold Coast Suns. Let's finish up on this. We talked about the game. Great era of West Coast stuff. I haven't mentioned yet that this guy is a AFL Hall of Famer, which is just... I'm waiting for mine. I don't know if it's going to come. It's not easy to get, so that's a huge deal, mate. And probably haven't given you enough credit for that over the years, but I respect you. The Gold Coast Suns it's tough to go up and coach a new team and in a new competition. You were given the job early. How'd you find that project?
Oh, I loved it, mate. It was fantastic. And as you say, I mean, what a great honour to coach the 17th club to join the AFL. And again, like the grand final, premiership, I should say, that can't be ever taken off you. I like to think the graph was heading in the right direction. Maybe not as quick as everyone was hoping for, but it's a tough market, all that sort of stuff. But it was a fantastic opportunity. I loved it. It certainly solidified a lot of sort of theories and thoughts I had around football and young kids coming into the game. We clearly, like GWS did, because our records were very similar with the young crew. But the beauty about GWS having obviously to sit and watch what we did, they went again and got some more senior players. We chose to sit with the kids still. And that obviously clearly backfired because we just kept getting younger and younger and younger. And I think there was a stat even in Rocket Eads' year that he played a side that was younger than one of my sides. Wow. And you just go, how can that happen? I mean, you put your kids in at school at year 8, 5 years later, they're in year 12. They don't get younger. Whereas Gold Coast, we actually got younger in my last year. And I'm going, hang on,
how's that
4
work?
years. It just and again, you look at the AFL ladder, mate. Generally, the top 4 sides are generally, and again, experience, not so much age, but experience in games. And the 4 bottom sides are the ones that are got the least experience. That said, you can be. This is when you worry is when you're down the bottom and you've got all the games of experience. And unfortunately, that's where West Coast at the moment. All their games are on their older, slower. Very good players, but they're just never going to be the superstars that they have been. So that's the concern for West Coast. But that's generally what happens. The older sides beat up on the younger sides.
Oh, we got footage there, and Dave was showing some footage of you coaching from the bench. I reckon you've got to be one of the first to ever do that. That's a while back now. They all seem to do that now. What's the advantage of coaching from the bench in your eyes?
Well, the thing, as opposed to a phone call and talking obviously on a phone, you can actually get down there. And sometimes I'd use a whiteboard. A lot of the times, the catalyst for me was when the rotation started with Mick, and I was the midfield coach.
Yeah, right.
I had Burns, Buckley, Licuria,
Swanee.
Yeah, Swanee on that. Well, Swanee didn't offer a great deal. Mate. He just went out and played Swanee. He was fantastic. But, I'd have Mick ringing me, look, what's going on with the stoppages? Centre bounces. And I'd be looking at him and go, actually, I've got no idea, actually. Burnsy, have a look at these stoppages. Tell me, the sweeper's getting drawn in. Hey, Mick, the sweeper's getting drawn in, But because
Smart man.
we're all doing all these stoppages. But the other reason was, if you're going to be a line coach and you got 3 in those days, the 4 on the bench, the three are always generally mids or mid forwards.
Right.
Well, you can talk to them straight away, and you got opportunities. Why wait until quarter time and half time? So I started doing that as a midfield coach, and I had the IT assistant sitting behind me doing all the edits for the vision, so I could actually show them real-time vision of saying, right, here's a stoppage. What do you reckon, Burnsy? And he was fantastic. Awesome. Buckley was great at it as well. Paul Licuria, all these blokes were fantastic. But you could give them instant and live feedback. So, right, okay, that's what we need to do. And almost be a coach because they could run out, hey, Robbo, make sure we're sweeping at this stoppage and all that sort of stuff. So, from there, I didn't do it the first year. It was more the second year when I say that, some of the senior boys were just getting a little bit impatient. They were expecting these, 10 to 5 to 10 game players to be playing like 110 game players. And so I went down there just to calm the fire a bit and still to do that development stuff. So Kenny and the other assistants, Dean Solomon up there, they did a fantastic job. Shane O'Brien was up there in the box. So I had full faith in them. Blighty was up there as well. So, you know, he offered his assistance, of course. I think at times he took over too much, but thought he was coaching again. But so I was able to sit down there and have that season trying to educate those kids as best we could.
I'm so glad that we didn't have those edits back when I was playing, because I reckon I would have got a lot of what were you thinking there?
Yeah,
what's that all about? All right, mate. We're going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining. It's Robbo Live. It's my show. I know it's about Ty Kennelly said last week. It's about the Demons, isn't it? It's called the Robbo Live.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
Come on, why not? It's going to be a good game this week. Obviously, for Melbourne's sake, I hope that we're going to win. I'm pretty sure you think Melbourne's going to win, but the West Coast Eagles, I hope they can get themselves back. They're a proud club. They will. It's been a couple of unusual years for them, and I'm sure the supporters are hating it, but they'll be right. Thanks for joining us, mate. Davo's got the... have you got the graphic up there, have you, mate?
I have, yeah.
Look at you go.
It's
Isn't it great?
$8 for the Eagles and $1.08 for the Demons. I actually thought it'd be maybe 10 or 12 or maybe 28.
Yeah. Jeez.
You never know, though. You never know.
Funny things have happened, but unfortunately it's going to be hilarious this weekend, that's for sure.
I love your crowd, though. They still keep showing off. They're not going to Bali. They're showing up.
No.
Hey, mate, I talked about that game in 2004. As I leave you now, I'm going to show you some of the great footage of me rolling around in 2004, getting a Norwich Rising Star nomination.
Where am I getting that from?
You can just find it. I'm sure you can find it. Not now. You'll be right. Good on you, Bluey. Thanks very much, mate. Too
Pleasure,
easy.
mate.
Go down then to Adrian Barrett, who's got Russell Robertson.
Robbo, just a fairy tale win, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well we came up here, we had a young side in, we didn't have a very experienced side, and we thought it's going to be a tough game, but to our credit we really got in there, intensity, and we come away with the points.
The best ever win you've been associated with?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, on my short career so far, I've played 9 games now. That was just unbelievable. In front of this crowd, it's really, it's a good thing for the club.
Now, mate, you spent some time on the bench in the third quarter. What, just resting up for the last, were you?
I dropped a couple of grads out here, and I was starting to feel it a bit. But the coach gave me a rest to come back on the last quarter.
And the Eagles, I guess, they're hard to beat over here, so it makes it even better, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, in front of this crowd, geez. No, fantastic win for the boys. Full credit to Danaher.
Finally, mate, who were the heroes today, apart from yourself?
My hero, Stephen Tingay, is just unbelievable. He hits the ball hard. And, there's a lot of good players out in the ground today.
Well, you go enjoy it, mate. Well done.
Russell Robertson, 4 goals this afternoon, 2 in each of the halves. And some of his work was just sensational on the forward line. He really is one of those players who seems to do the unexpected.
And when you think he had to play centre-half forward on a taller opponent for most part of the game, it was just fantastic that he saw Glenn Jakovic off the ground to be replaced by Chad Morrison and to bob up and kick those 4 goals. James McDonald with 3 was very supportive, but Tingay, as Robertson mentioned, coming back in, kicked a goal in that last quarter, had plenty of the footy.
Those days where you just, No, that was I did say 2004. That was not 2004.
No, it was not even close. I was looking for 2004 and I was like going 2004. What am I searching for?
You figured that out so quick.
I know. I knew. I just looked for Russell Robinson post game interview West Coast, and there it was.
You love Bluey,
and then I love Bluey. I think he's a legend.
He's a legend,
and he does I don't know, I literally did try and chase him running one day. He ran past, out the front, and he was running and I was running, and I go, oh, God, I think that's Guy McKenna.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm going to run after him. Actually, Vince, the coffee shop, that we go to the coffee shop, he goes, I'll introduce you. And I went, no, I don't want to be weird. I don't want to be weird. I don't want to be that weird person.
It's okay.
I have problems
like that with me, and your wife was like that. It was really awkward.
It was weird when my wife, because my wife is your biggest fan, and it was sort of like worlds collided. She looked at me and she went, inferior guy, the man of the hour.
Yeah.
and I went,
she also loves Shane Woden.
She loves Shane Woden.
Another WA
and you
boy.
nearly said you were going to go, I'll bring Shane Woden over, and my wife's head exploded. She just went, oh my God, Shane Woden and Russell Robinson in the same room. And my husband.
That's awkward.
Who cares?
And I reckon a lot of the Melbourne supporters would love to have that sort of similar sort of thing with. Well, they would have similar. The girls would have that with Craig Turley or the West Coast supporters.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be Craig Turley. Had the same haircut.
Slayer with the
and
ladies.
You just like run around.
Craig Turley came to the club. He was really good friends with Jimmy Steins. They were really close. I do remember that when I first got to Melbourne as an 18-year-old, going up to Bond University for our first camp. You want to hear a great story? We went to Bond University, Brisbane camp, pre-season. Neil Danaher's first crack at it. We went to Southport Sharks, really good club up there in the Quaffle, and I'm not sure what they're in now. I think, don't know, playing the VFL, don't they? Anyway, we've gone to that ground, and we started off. First thing we're going to do, handball games. My team, I was on with Matthew Phoebe, all those guys back in the day. Wally Lovett. You would know who they did. Glenn Lovett. Remember
Glenn Lovett? Yeah, the Lovett brothers.
The Bald Eagle.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had to play on Alistair Clarkson, and he comes over to me and he stands on me, and ball goes up in the air. This is like the first training session ever. I was a skinny kid you just saw there. Yeah, exactly. Whack. Yeah. I was on the ground. I don't know what happened. I look up, and it was Clarko. He said, "Welcome to the AFL, son."
Wow.
And it wasn't dirty or anything. It was just a really big bump that got me in the head. Thanks, Clarko. Good on you, mate.
It was a really big bump that got me in the head.
Deliberately. So I knew what I was up for. Can I go to the board?
Yeah,
here?
go
Because
to
there's
the
some
chat.
really good questions. So why did Turley come? I'm not sure. I wasn't privy to any of that. It was before my time, but didn't really sort of last it. It was the end of his
reckon
career.
he liked the colours better.
Yeah.
I reckon blue and red.
Yeah,
he was
possibly.
fashionable dude, and he just liked blue and red. It just looked good. Blue and red are good colours.
I do know
Like,
he's a bit
blue and yellow is pretty crap.
Let's
be fair.
He's a bit of a tree hugger. Oh, Craig Turley. I heard that he put himself up in a tree so someone wouldn't cut it down.
Most West Australians do stuff like that.
You do that regularly.
Where you just no shoes, climb trees, don't let them cut them down, whatever.
Jaden Hunt went to the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I for the Eagles, I
Great
thought it was a
pickup.
good move because
someone with speed and
some
talent.
speed and talent, can run, can break the lines, and he did some nice things in the game last week.
He's
Kicked a nice goal.
been really good for us.
For him, I mean, obviously you're not winning, but you know, there's time. There's time. Let's just wait on that one with Jaden because, you know, maybe he was thinking he wasn't going to get the run at Melbourne.
The weather's nice.
Yeah.
The beaches are pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he regrets it.
He's a very laid back guy.
I reckon he likes, there's a bit of surf.
He'll be
It's
right.
good cafe culture.
Absolutely.
Still like
Kingo
Melbourne,
was a
though.
great player. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Brooks. That's been a great show. I've really enjoyed that. Tonight, there's a game happening very soon. Collingwood, in fact, and we need to get off so we can go and watch it.
We do.
Collingwood are playing Brisbane. And we have a studio audience today, Dave.
Oh, we do.
We've got a studio
First
audience.
time.
First time ever. Someone in studio.
There we go. There's Les.
Les.
Who do you follow, Les?
Here's a Collingwood.
All right, awesome. Thanks for being on. First time we've ever had a Collingwood supporter in the room.
did not
Do we
predict-
lock him in here, or what do we do now?
Wouldn't have predicted it, though, because it seemed like a good bloke.
He did seem nice. Sometimes that's what they're doing now. That's part of their new thing. They've worked out that
Right.
no one likes them,
Right.
so they now like infiltrate and like your father-in-law,
Poison you from the inside.
poison you, marry in, and then like propagate. Like it's bullshit. It's really annoying.
Oh, they propagate.
Can I just say my father was born in Preston, Victoria, even though I'm a South Australian, but of course a Collingwood supporter, hence
He's
that's
actually
who I follow. It's inbred. And
Preston's pretty close to the jail, right? That's up that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny that.
Well, there you
I don't
go.
reckon he's actually from Preston. I think he's
Anyway,
what's that
it's
show
nice
called?
for you to hang around some refined people and Melbourne
Exactly.
supporters, and I don't know about refined for West
And
Coast, but
look, I'm
definitely
gonna
the Melbourne
say-
supporters.
I'm also going to say thanks everyone for embracing the Eagles this week. Like, I think there's
Yeah.
a nice like sibling rivalry, which
Yeah.
I think is nice, and I
Yep.
think it's just been really good. Instead of if it was Collingwood and Melbourne, we'd probably have a different conversations.
Well,
but
absolutely, and there is a massive. And we just got told, someone on here said the ins and outs have just come through.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. I think Petruccelli's the only sort of recognised player that's coming into the team with a whole bevy of recognised players going out.
there's a guy called Elliot Yeo who's
He's in back in.
He's okay.
He's kind of okay. Yeah, he's a good player.
Hasn't played since, I don't know,
He'll be a little bit underdone. I think it's going to be tough.
Josh
for
says, sorry, we don't embrace West Coast. All right, Josh, fair enough.
Put on the throat stuff.
Fair
it
enough.
probably will be. Anyway, I think Melbourne will win that game. I don't need to worry about it too much, but we're talking about tonight's game, Collingwood-Brisbane. Should be a really good match. These two match up well against each other. Last couple of games have been really close.
Yeah.
It's up there. Brisbane need to really bring it this week. Chris Fagan, who was obviously I've spoken about him in the show already, Melbourne person. He's gone up there to take over the Lions. He needs to really light a fire on them because they were terrible last week. They're under the pump, so beware the Collingwood players. There's a torch behind the Brisbane players at the moment, and they need to produce.
There's a torch.
I still
Is
don't
it
think
a
flame.
Are they going to bring their own flame? Because let's face it,
torch flame is worse than
the lights will go out. Let's hope it's a draw and the lights are out in Brisbane as Collingwood and Brisbane fight it to the death and destroy each other into a million pieces. That would be brilliant.
Hey, do you have a T-shirt made about you?
Hang on. Does Smash West Coast for a percentage? All right, he's up. I went searching during the week. Yeah, I just knocked my whiskey over. I went searching during the week for a T-shirt. Now, I found your CD, and I was just doing a little bit of digging. And
what the hell?
Anyone want to explain why there is a bootleg Robbo T-shirt for $46.50? I might add. And I went to look at the sizes, and it doesn't matter what size. A large is still expensive, and
please
did
explain.
you do this?
Please explain.
Can you explain this? Did you
explain
put this
that.
T-shirt together?
I can't explain it. I had nothing to do with it. Now, I know that there are retro T-shirts getting around. I've seen some of them, and there's some really cool ones. That's because it's me.
I'm getting one. I am 100% buying it.
Do you know what I love about it? It's pink.
I know.
It's pink.
I got to go back to this. I got to hold it together. There we go. The Robbo T-shirt. In fact, actually, I'm going to buy one for someone in the audience. So someone, not you, Les, you're a Collingwood supporter. They don't have people from Collingwood don't buy shirts; they steal them.
What's the competition?
What are we going to do for a competition? Send us a photo this week of you watching Melbourme destroy the Eagles and celebrating. I would love to see that. That'd be great.
You've got to have a platter
and a platter with an avocado. You need an avocado.
Yes.
Preferably one that isn't dead. Yes. And send us a photo, and I'm buying you a Robbo T-shirt. Send me your size, and I will send you a shirt. Only one person, and we'll announce it. But after I saw this, I thought about a limited edition T-shirt, and there's one that I think is still yet to be released. And the rumor is, and actually before I show this is legit.
Someone's done this.
Someone has done that. And there are no other Melbourne players.
I feel very
amazing.
privileged. I love this person, whoever did this. I want to meet this person.
You're like a cult thing. Like one of those teddy bears that you get. And it's like a little Robbo teddy bear.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
I want to high five this person. But anyway, I love what you're doing here. Let's get one of these.
Can we do one more other T-shirt?
Yeah.
Because I saw this T-shirt too. And I reckon this one's
You bastard. Look at you. Look at you.
This is the T-shirt, right? This is it. That's it, Robbo. And it shouldn't be bootleg. It's like KO Robbo. I'm going to get that shirt made.
It's a knockout, that one.
It's a knockout. It's a knockout. It is such a good T-shirt. I'm getting one of those T-shirts. Now, there's no competition for this shirt because it's mine. I'm making this shirt. And it's going to be great. So, 5. Sean Ducks wants 5 of them.
Duxie will buy
Which
5.
one, Duxie? Do you want this one? Or do you want that other one? Which one was it? That one? What do you guys think? Are we getting the Robbo one? Yeah.
Like
Robbo. Or are we getting Robbo?
Now, I know Duxie's going to say that one. Duxie's a legend.
I so want that shirt.
Duxie's a legend. And
I'm going to Photoshop the Melbourne jumper on it too, just to see if I can,
No, the competition's there. If you take a photo of yourself with a platter, you win. Davo's going to buy you my Robbo top, and I might sign it, maybe.
Yeah.
So I want one as well. I'm going to get one.
We're going to turn up.
Is it bad that I buy my own T-shirt to wear it around?
It'd be super. I'm contacting these people to find out how many are being sold.
I know one person that bought it. I actually know about this T-shirt.
Someone bought it.
Someone bought it and wore it in front of me. I was like, what the heck? I was always like, is this the Twilight Zone? Why is there a Robbo T-shirt? I've never been seen in that light. But anyway, I feel pretty special.
Mate, I think this is spectacular. What a great episode. I had a lot of fun.
I've had a lot of fun. We're going to move on to next week.
Yes. What are we going to do? We're
in Japan. What
we're in a
can we
crossroads. Everyone. This show has reached its pinnacle. And the pinnacle is when we get to the end of the episode and we go, what are we going to do next week? Because we don't know how we're going to do it. If anyone knows an intern who knows how to operate cameras and a little bit of like trickery, not a lot. You just got to push buttons every now and then. It's not hard. And they are in the Bayside area. You get a free Robbo T-shirt and a free CD. Come along.
Can't give that stuff away.
No, but in dead serious. Like, we'd love to keep the show going. I don't want you to stop, even though I'm away. So
I'll figure it out.
We're going to see if we can figure this out next week. It might be Robbo at his desk, figuring it out with his microphone,
we're
playing Tetris.
We're playing Essendon. So I'd like to get my mate Matty Lloyd, who lives down the road from here, to jump on and talk about the Bombers and where they're at the moment.
Matty Lloyd would be pretty good. I reckon we could get someone here. Yeah, I think we can figure this out.
I'll figure it out. I'll put that out there. He'd never watched this, but if he saw this, he'd be like, what, Robbo? Anyway, that's been a great show. Davo, enjoy Japan.
Thank you.
Happy Easter to everybody.
Happy Easter, everyone. Go Dees.
I did.
Go Eagles.
Sorry. Eagles. This could be a percentage booster. But we can't be on top of the ladder if we've lost the game and someone's won every single game. But by geez, we might be near the top of the ladder with percentage after this game. I'm sorry, mate. We've got you at
$1.08.
Oh, wow.
I'd put 100,000 on Melbourne. How much would that make it, Les?
Much.
You steal stuff anyway. You're Collingwood, so
it's Maccabi Diva odds, as you just said before. It's black caviar odds. That's
8,000. You make 8,000, I think. I don't like anyone from Essendon. Yeah, should we skip next week? I think Steve's right. Steve's like, should we get someone on from Essendon, or should we just like bypass them?
Who's going to the gather round? Is anyone going?
Oh yeah, the gather round. Someone earlier said they were going to the gather round.
I'm going. I'm over there.
Are you really?
Yep, I'm going to be over there.
And you went to the Formula One too.
I went to the Formula One. I saw Matty Lloyd there. We're having a chat there. It was fun.
Should I show a quick video? I know we're supposed to get off, but this is kind of the fun part.
Show it. Why not?
All right, let me see if I can pull it up quickly. Collingwood, Brisbane gives a shit. All right, here we go. This is Robbo at the
See, I can never get
there you go. That was it.
Look at my forehead.
I know, it's wrinkly now.
Hey, that T-shirt.
It's not airbrushed like this.
Oh, shut up. The T-shirt you showed of me lying flat out on the
Yeah,
ground.
do you want one?
No, I don't want one of those, but my word, I was chubby.
Yeah, you've trimmed up.
Lost some weight, people.
Yeah, you're looking good. You feel good?
I feel good, yeah.
Yeah, you sure?
It's just
crashing
stress.
into people.
It's just stress.
Just stress? Oh, yeah, just don't eat anymore. I don't eat. I crash into people at Woolworths. The show makes me nervous. Doesn't really.
Being near you and what you're going to Photoshop onto the show is what makes me stress.
Robbo!
That's enough for Russell Robert Survival. Robbo Live.
Flat out.
We've had Guy McKenna. We've had a great time. It's now time to get off and watch Brisbane beat the Magpies. Brisbane play the Magpies up there. Hopefully there's no shutdown.
Go the Lions.
Hopefully there's no fire in the light tower. And hopefully we just watch an enjoyable game of football on Sunday when we play. Is it Sunday? I think it's Sunday.
Sunday, I think. Let's pull it up. Doesn't matter. Everyone knows when it is. You'll win. I'll be in Japan. I'll miss it. Go Dees. And thanks for joining, everyone. Hopefully we'll be back next week. I guess stay tuned to our Facebook page and see if Robbo can figure it out. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
What do you mean? It's not like we can get cancelled, though. No one's paying us.
No one's cancelling us. No.
We're not getting paid.
No one pays us either.
We do this. I do this. We do this for the...
It costs me money to do this.
Yeah. For the Melbourne supporters.
I do it for the Melbourne supporters.
Which is
weird,
of our hearts
isn't it?
to talk about the demons.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
It's fun. I'm going to get him. He's going to be a Melbourne supporter by the end of this. See you, Barry.
Hey, that's my footy. This is my 91 football.
What
There's
about
no
this
way.
one?
Oh, yeah.
Before.
So, before we go, my dad sent me this. So, Bluey McKenna signed it for me on the head. And my dad, he's a Docker supporter. We don't talk about Fremantle. And he sent me this. And I was like, what am I going to do with that? And he goes, Guy McKenna will find it really funny when he runs past your house.
Yes, that's
And
the
I
way to
went,
get him to stop.
Which makes me think, is this going to be in the garden as he runs past the house? Which it wasn't. It was in the packaging. And so I ran down to Guy McKenna when he was here.
Look.
And I go, look, Bluey. And he put number 17 on the back too, which is kind of cute. And signed it.
And a side fact, that thing could probably get a game for the Eagles this week.
It is.
Get it off the Robbo show.
He needs to be on the set now.
No,
he does. We need a little demon one. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. Good luck, Dees. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Then had a flying shot of the goal. Out of nowhere! It'll be a long way to beat that. Michael Roachy. Dees from the Robertson.
It's coming home. It's coming home, Ben. Miller, the curse is finally over. The curse is finally over. Remember, guys, we wrote the rules of the game. We wrote the rules back in, what was it, 150 years ago. We wrote the rules. This win is largely due to the support of you guys. Hey guys, we're back again. Russell Robertson live.
Out of nowhere!